But I want to move on briefly for the half hour we have left to the free speech event that took place at Victoria University yesterday evening. Now, the event, bit of background for those who aren't aware, started off as a panel discussion involving Jonathan Ayling and a host of other people who were like-minded, probably is what we'd say to Jonathan. And the point, as far as I could tell, was to expose university students of Victoria to new kind of ideologues, to new information that might expand their mind and challenge their worldviews. But they didn't want that. And a few woke students complained, and it was postponed, restructured, rescheduled, and took place instead last night behind closed doors in a dusty lecture theatre just above the university's hub. And I went along because I was interested to see what they'd done to it, what it had turned into. Now, the event was the university's role in supporting free speech, or the university's role with regards to free speech. And the reason I went along is I thought, well, I'm interested to see what happens here. This is kind of a landmark moment. This is a interest, or at least an interesting moment in the persisting, unfolding dialogue about how universities deal with the concept of freedom of speech and whiny students who don't want freedom of speech. So what have they done? What have they done in response to students complaining that they didn't want their worldviews challenged at all? And what they did do was, and this is very clever, they filled the room with lefties who spouted off about Palestine and how terrible it is to be a privileged white cisgendered male. That was their response to those complaints. So the whole thing was not really that different anyway to the type of todge that Vic Uni students hear and discuss amongst themselves every single day. The person who kicked off all the controversy, who was the reason Salient complained and the reason Vusa complained, Jonathan Ayling, he got about 5 minutes to say his piece, during which he was interrupted and challenged by Corin Dan far more intensely and vociferously than any other panellist. In the end, he had to leave the stage, and the raving mad lefties were given free range to absolutely tear him apart. In my estimation, it was a total con job, a grift, a complete compromise of integrity, and an out-and-out bend-over from Vice Chairman Nick Smith, who, by the way, had the audacity to start the event off by patting himself on the back for facilitating a win for free speech by having the event go ahead, when in reality it was just another chance for lefty academics to say woke things about New Zealand in a room full of students spraining their necks from nodding so hard. The greatest irony of all this was when the founder of the Islamic Women's Centre, someone will have to text in and remind me of her name, she was there as a panellist at the second half of the show and yapped off about how important it is for universities to make their students feel uncomfortable. And yet the very event she was saying that at had to be rescheduled and restructured from a challenging display of opposing philosophies to a yap session for all the exact kind of claptrap these students hear on a daily basis anyway. That is my take on what the free speech event at Victoria University was last night. It went from being a panel discussion that was supposed to challenge worldviews and present Vic Uni students with things that maybe university students don't always agree with or hear on a daily basis, to a completely pointless therapy session or sort of group discussion about all the topics that they already discuss frequently and all the views that they already hold. There were two people in that final panel group that said anything that would be challenging ideologically to those students. Michael Johnston from the New Zealand Initiative and Jonathan Ayling. Two people, and they were given, Jonathan was given about 5 minutes and was absolutely torn apart for the rest of it. So it wasn't a win for free speech, Nick Smith. Victoria University is not leading the charge in relation to the solution to universities' role in facilitating free speech. Vic Uni is an example of what happens when you curtail your integrity and bend to the will of a few woke students who don't like what Jonathan Ayling said or what Jonathan Ayling supported somebody else in saying. So total crock.